Hey everybody, what is going on? What is up? How's it going? I am Solar Gray, the cinematic sorcerer, and I have to say, welcome to the dark side of the room. Sorry about the disorganization and the lack of anything like professional, because alright, I'm gonna just put this out right there. Boom. We've been a little wacky. Yeah, we have been a little wacky. Thank you. All right, cool. Yeah, we've been a little wacky out there. And yeah, this stuff has been super weird. As you guys know, YouTube has recently changed their terms of service and devices and all that jazz. So what I've been trying to do is I have been doing my best. Hang on, let me see if I can. There we go. Yeah, that's a lot better. That is a lot better. Oh, so much better. Okay, yeah, so much better. That was all grainy and stuff. So yeah, trying to fix that. But yeah, YouTube has changed a lot of their service policies, and we're trying to keep up with a lot of that stuff. But now that my excuses are over, and I have to I have to do a lot of stuff as far as the business aspect of all this stuff is going. Again, I want to thank you guys sincerely for showing up. It has been a little bit trying because I've been trying to update a lot of stuff on the site and with the Wizard's Tower, and of course with the productions and stuff that have gone in, and like it's just been crazy. Like, doing this for a living has not been easy. But with all that, I'm gonna say welcome to the dark side of the room. Let's get the business part out of the way. First part of business, with the new live streams and the new stuff up there on YouTube, you have to tell with every live stream that you do whether or not it's meant for kids. Now, here is the rub. When something is meant for kids, there's no leaving comments, no chatting. So, as much as I want to keep this a kid-friendly show, I'm depending on you guys to keep it a kid-friendly show. And I'm gonna do my best to reduce the amount of profanity and stuff I use. But yeah, let's call it a show that's more meant for teenagers. And second, this is a really big thing. If you guys think that this would be kid appropriate, then show a kid, talk to their parents about the parental restrictions and all that stuff, because I really want to reach out to the kids and help with that kind of stuff. But since we're doing this live stream, it's like if I reach out to the kids, they won't be able to hear what you guys have to say. Okay, so that is a real thing. So with that, I've also got to push the bill paying stuff. So if you guys like what you see here, if you guys like what we're doing, and you guys want to join, that's perfectly cool. I want you guys to join in. Just send us an email over at backinthedeck@gmail.com. It's backinthedeck@gmail.com. Hit us up on the social media like Twitter and Instagram. Just look for @backinthedeck or @BID_P. Check out our stuff on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/BID_P. And of course, you can totally hit us up here on YouTube. Subscribe, share the stuff, share the message that we're trying to get out there about individuality, creativity, all that jazz. And if you guys really want to help us out with what we do, we appreciate that. We appreciate that a lot. So we're just asking you to head on over to patreon.com/BID_P and sign up as a patron. We're starting to really update a lot of other things. We don't have that many patrons right now, not gonna lie. But with the patrons that we do have, like Shannon Boomlay, what's up? She's on the $20 tier, and she gets a shout out at the beginning. She gets a shout out in every episode of every show that we produce, every single one, because she is one of the ones that are making all of this worthwhile. And by making it worthwhile, I also mean making it possible. And by possible, I mean this, all right? Let's be real with you guys for just a second, all right? The reason we hit up this Patreon stuff is because equipment costs money, lighting costs money, my electricity bill is at least $200 a month, every month, to keep this stuff going. And, I mean, my internet bill is over $100 a month, but even beyond that, if I had a 9-to-5 job, that's 9 hours on the clock because you don't get paid for lunches anymore. So that is 9 hours a day working for someone else, either in a cubicle or in my case with manual labor, plus an hour in transit each way. So that's 11 hours of the day dedicated to another job, leaving very little time and even less energy to make these videos to any kind of quality that you guys might think is worth watching. So that's what our Patreon is there for. So yeah, just head on down and pick that stuff up right over there. Again, we would really appreciate that. Share these videos and all that jazz. And right now, I'm just sending out one more message to let the world know that we're here, because we've got a lot of stuff to talk to. But again, also hit us up on our email. It's right there at backinthedeck@gmail.com. We've been doing a lot of stuff lately to try and we're upgrading the website. We're most definitely upgrading a few other things. There's so many different models that we can go on. This is why, honestly, this is one of the reasons that the music is still going, because we've got a lot of business and stuff to talk about. But it's coming up, okay? It's coming up. So, with all that, I want to say, thank you guys for showing up. And if you notice, we've been doing a lot more stuff with more creative live editing and things like that. So, I'm appreciating a lot of the stuff that we're doing. We hope that everything else is going down. Now, with the stuff that we're talking about today, this is a real thing. It's a real thing, because so much stuff has happened. We're just going to do a quick recap. Last week, a lot of things happened. There's a whole lot of stuff going on right now. There's a whole lot of stuff going down right now with the impeachment hearings. New stuff has just come out for D&D. There's a lot of stuff, all right? And with that lot of stuff, we can talk about a lot. But as you guys know, we don't do politics a whole lot here because, well, politics is rough. It is very, very rough. But we talk about like a political thing every week. We were talking about post-traumatic slave disorder a couple of weeks ago. And that is going to tie into one of the things that we talked about today at, one of the things that I told you guys we were going to be talking about in the description. Sorry about the mix up with the web addresses. The YouTube stuff is hard for me to navigate right now, but we're learning. So I want to start off today by talking about a YouTuber and a writer by the name of Matt Colville. Now, he released a video this morning. Okay, this morning he released a video talking about leading a creative life. And he said some things that I think are very much worth talking about today. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play a hot minute of it, and I want to talk about it a little bit. But yeah. So yeah, I want to talk about that just a little bit. There we go. And
about running Dungeons and Dragons and my ongoing attempt to convince you that you should do it because it's fun and not that hard. But the choice to become a dungeon master is different than the choice to buy a bicycle and take up cycling, or buy some vinyl and become an audiophile. It's different than reading or traveling or fishing. It's even different than board gaming or playing D&D, because choosing to become a dungeon master is choosing to lead a creative life, I know that makes it sound pompous and pretentious, but you're going to create an adventure, NPCs, maybe an entire world complete with characters and plot and dialogue.
Now, the reason I wanted to play just a little bit of that is because I really can't say it better myself. I wish I could. I really wish I could have said it better. But the way that he puts it right there, and again, I'll put a link in the description for you guys to watch it after we finish the live cast. But honestly, I couldn't have said it better myself. He goes on in that video to talk about how leading a creative life can be difficult in the sense of there will be people around you that will tell you not to do it. Okay, a lot of people that will tell you not to do it, that'll tell you to live a day-to-day life. Hang on, I still have to pull up the chat here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there are a lot of people that'll tell you live a day-to-day life, work in a cubicle, forget art. Don't live a life where you're making art, be it painting or writing or TV or acting or singing or music. And I wanted to talk about that today because the way that Matt Colville set it out, and again, this video dropped on YouTube like at 10 this morning. The way that he set it out touched me very deeply because this show, you guys have been getting a lot of my history. You've got my history as a gamer, at least up until the mid 90s. We'll get back to my gaming biography a little bit later in this show's season. But I'm also an actor and a writer and a musician and a former dancer, and we do the YouTube video thing. I've done a little bit of filmmaking. I've been a teacher. And the truth is, there have been people my entire life, okay? And I thought this was I really thought that it was from the perspective of the lower income echelons. Because when you grow up in the ghetto, there are loads of people who are telling you, man, you can't do that. You ain't gonna do that. Don't. And they will try and stop you. We call them haters. And there are haters all over the place in the lower income parts. At least there were when I was growing up. So it was, you ain't never gonna be a rapper. You ain't never gonna be a singer. What? You can't play no guitar. You ain't gonna make the Olympics. It's everybody always telling you what you're not gonna do. Okay? And as I got older, when I was in my 20s, the one thing I wanted when I was in my 20s, when I was in my 20s, the one thing I wanted was to hurry up and become 30. Because I thought when I was in my 20s that when I was finally 30, people would give up on me enough to shut the heck up and let me succeed at what I'm trying to do. I was a juggler and a fire breather and an actor and an improv comedian, and it was stop doing that, get a job at Quiznos, get your life together, pay a bunch of bills, live the life that we were told to live, that you are watching tear us apart. And that's the part that never stuck well with me. And as I've gotten older, I found that a lot of successful entrepreneurs, all the people that have made it, were told to get a job, just to get a regular job. Don't try and be a writer. Or my particular favorite, and this is, this one is super funny when you think about it. Well, you should be able to do all that stuff. You can be an actor and all that stuff. Just make sure that you have something to fall back on. And I'm sorry to tell you guys, but the truth of the matter, the biggest and most honest truth, is that there is no falling back. Okay? That's just the truth. Okay? This is a real thing. All right? There is no falling back. Hang on a minute. Oh, no wonder. We have again, we're trying to get I'm still trying to get the word to the people that were here. But yeah, there is no falling back, guys. There really isn't. There is no fallback plans. Okay? There are no. There we are. Yeah, there. Ooh, man, I'm almost vanishing. I didn't realize that. What's going on, Mike? Yeah, Nerd Soul popped in. Check out his stuff. But yeah, there is no falling back, guys. There is no safe place for you to be. All right? There is none of that. All right? You're either in or you're out. It's that simple. All right? You're either in and you are going to do it to the best of your ability, or you're not. It's really that simple. And I really hate to sound reductionist, because reductionists get on my nerves. But if you're going to do it, you got to do it full bore. You have to go in all the way. Because even when you start to get there, all right, when you start to get there, have I really only been going 15 minutes? Yeah. When you really start to get there, you end up getting so many people in whatever field, whatever artistic field, telling you how you're supposed to do it. You know, buy better equipment, go back to school, anything to take you out of the running. There is so much fear, so much gaslighting, and so much there's so many opposing voices to get you to stop doing what you want to do, especially when it's creative. Because have you guys ever noticed that it's very rare that people tell you to don't go for the job at the post office, don't apply at the DMV, don't get the job at the car wash, don't work at McDonald's? You know, I mean, there's a generation of people out there that went to college so that they wouldn't have to do that. But now that they're out of college, they will do anything that they can to find work. I mean, that's just, you know, and it's like, no, don't take the job. But when it comes to being an actor or a dancer or a painter or a writer, you know, there are so many people out there saying, no, don't do it. The future is unknown. And the truth is, guys, those are their fears. Those are their fears that they are trying to give to you. You know, I mean, that's a real thing. You know, they are trying to make you live under the way that they live under for whatever reason that they didn't end up being a special effects artist, or they didn't end up being a dancer or an actor or a writer or a sailor or a shipwright or a traveler. You know, so many people, very few adults that are in the world right now are doing what they really wanted to do for a living. Okay, that's a serious thing. My mom is one of my biggest inspirations. She is an amazing artist, okay? And over the past 10 years, she's had to have surgery on both hips and her back, because for the duration of my life, she worked at a hospital in the records department. Now, for you younger people out there, before the internet, everything was paper. And a box of paper files tends to weigh about 60 pounds. And my mom lifted 30 to 60 pound boxes for 6 hours a night. The other part of it was typing for 8 hours a night. Okay, 8 hours a night for my entire life. All right, that's the truth. That's what it was. My entire life, that is what she was doing. And on the weekends, you know, during the gang wars, she was a beautician to gang members just to keep my brothers and I safe, because she was a really good hairdresser. So she would do their hair under the premise of our house was neutral ground at all times, and all four of us was to be left alone from gang activity. And then she would keep doing their hair at a decent price. And back then, you know, criminals had honor, so it was a thing. But with all the things that she did, okay, being the person who handed you candy and soap in the bathroom, and working in clinic records. What she wanted to be was a special effects artist. Okay, she wanted to be a makeup artist for the entertainment industry. She grew up in the 1950s and 60s, and being black, you probably weren't going to get the job back then. Being a woman, you might actually not get the job. And being a black woman in the 60s trying to get into Hollywood, wah wah. And being from where I was, my mom never got the chance to be in entertainment because she didn't even know where to send the resume. There was no path to knowledge to live a creative life. It was a secretary at best. You know, that's all you can dream for. Be a secretary. And I'm not saying that the ghetto is the only place that this happens, because I see you suburbanites. I see you guys. And as much as I dislike suburban culture, sorry, I'm not from there, the one thing I really empathize with you guys about is the fact that your parents, at least for the past 3 generations, have wanted to decide what you are going to do. Your parents either wanted you to mimic the life that they live, or they want you to succeed in places that they failed. But the commonality on all this is that they tried to take away your agency in the life that you live. You know, it's like they wanted a second chance at living through you, and that's not cool. So Matt Coville today was talking about the haters that go through all of the to all the haters that tell you that, you know, you've got to work more to do writing and all that stuff. And he says these are their fears. These are their issues. Okay, this is their issues trying to stop you from doing what you want to do. And I halfway agree. You know, he even goes as far as to say they don't want to see you succeed because it'll show them how they could have succeeded and they're choosing not to. And I only halfway agree with that. The part that I disagree with is that, yeah, showing them that it's possible does make them feel bad. But there is a good amount of people out there that really, really want you to succeed. But the thing that they're afraid of is that they are basing success on what I call the mythology of success. Okay, they look at, well, take these YouTube videos, for example. Just let's take these as a mild example as to what people see. Now, when you see like a YouTube video, a great, hey, Ruthless, when you see a great YouTube video, and I mean great, like from Intentionally Pretentious or Innuendo Studios or Lindsay Ellis, who is really, in my opinion, should be the queen of YouTube because her stuff is untouchable. And, you know, other guys' videos like Renegade Cut, one of my personal favorites. When you see videos from those guys, you see the finished product, okay? You have no idea how much writing and editing and re-editing and re-editing and more editing that stuff goes down. I mean, a lot of the best YouTubers that are out there do their videos 3 months. They film their videos 3 months in advance, and they edit them down to a mononucleic blade before they upload them. We don't do that here. We really don't do that here. We're raw. We show you everything except for the mess that's in the studio. But yeah, we show you everything, guys. This is, you know, if you guys have noticed, most of our videos are live. All of this stuff is live cast. And we are here editing every shot as it happens. You guys get to see all of our sound mistakes. You guys get to see the evolution of what we do. And I'm doing this for 2 reasons. One, I've never liked the mystification of celebrity, okay? And we live in a different age, okay? Okay, in this day and age, I think that in order to keep your guys' attention, I gotta be straight up. It's that simple. You want the truth, you come to me and I will tell you the truth as I know it. Okay? And so many people are like, no, don't do that. Or they believe that the audience is cynical. And, you know, so many people can think of so many reasons to fail. I was studying to be a salesman back in 1980. And these guys was like, I was talking to an actual billionaire, and he made his money in engineering and marketing engineering tools like fasteners, nuts, bolts, that kind of thing. And he was saying that when he was in college, so many people was telling him that it was never good stuff. There was always 100 ways to fail. And he's like, yeah, but what if it does work? What if I succeed at this? What then? But at the same time, he went a lot of nights without food. I go a lot of nights without food. We go a lot of nights without sleep. And this image of the starving artist, that I do it for my art. Yeah, you know what? We got something to say. We do. We got a lot of stuff to say. But the thing is, when I was in film school, we were asked the question, why do we do this? And it's not the money, it's not the fame, it's not all that stuff. It's because not only can we not do this, we can't not do this. All right, we can't. This is what we're going to do one way or another. But the real thing is we really can't do anything else. I've got 100 skills under my belt at any time. 100 skills. I can hold down jobs. I really can. In my time in the real world, I've worked myself almost to disability, shoveling gravel and human feces and digging holes and working construction sites and working at warehouses and being a game salesman and being, but all of the service jobs that I had, they paid the bills. But I spent all of my savings on medical bills from the way that the jobs were tearing my body apart, and on therapy bills from the way that they were tearing my mind apart. I'll literally go crazy if I don't do this. Sorry, crazy-er. But if I don't do this, I'm gonna lose it. And most of the people that do this are just like that. So yeah, for you creatives out there, for you people out there that have gotta write and gotta sing and gotta dance. God, I cannot believe I just said that. Do it. Do it hard. And do it even though everybody's gonna tell you to stop. Again, we run D&D. We do our escapist stuff in the sense of this is what we do. We play RPGs. Some play D&D. Right now I'm running Esper Genesis, okay, which is an awesome game. I'm really loving the system. Shout out to Alligator Alley. But we do this. I write. I spent a good amount of time last week with an architect doing interior design on these spaceships, and they might one day be novels. We don't know. We don't know that that's not going to be a thing. But what we do know, what we know beyond a shadow of any doubt, is that I do other things better when I'm doing those things. We had a great filming session just Sunday, which I'm editing currently. And I wouldn't be as functional a person if I didn't do the stuff that allows me a creative outlet. I didn't ask to be an artist. I was born this way. Literally, this was just, I came out and I'm like, what if? And granted, yes, I have a background in science and I use science in my creativity, so I just can't escape it one way or another. But if you were like that, then sing, then dance, Make your movies, draw your cartoons, you know. And again, Matt Covell in the video that he did, he made it clear, you know, imposter syndrome is kind of a real thing. I'm a Generation Xer, as you guys know, or as you longer viewers know. And I will tell you, we are not known for our self esteem and our self worth. Okay. I've had imposter syndrome since I was like, God, 11 years old. I use it as a tool to drive me to be better so that I can prove to myself that I know what I'm doing and that I'm not a fraud. But it's there, you know? And I bring this up to point out that the people that are out there that are going to tell you that your stuff isn't good enough, you might not like your stuff. And guess what? As the prime decker, as decker number one, for you deckers that are out there, all right? I will never tell you guys what to do. But what I will say is this. I won't give any of you crap for hating your stuff if you can show me five things in your life that you were expert at the first time you did it. Okay? 5 things. 5 things. All right? Nobody is expert at anything the first time they try it. Even Mozart had to learn music. Granted, he was a baby, but he still had to learn. You know, Spielberg had to learn the craft of filmmaking. I bet if you could find his old movies, they won't measure up to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Everyone has to evolve in their craft, and nobody is an expert on day one. So that's where this whole mystification of thing ties in. Now, how does it relate to gaming? Oh, it's simple. Think back to the very first character you ever wrote. Are you happy with the build? Are you happy with the way that you role played it? You know, I can tell you honestly, I'm not. You know, I mean seriously, I'm not that guy. You know, the first few characters that I tried to make for D&D, I had everything messed up. And don't get me started on video games. Oh my God. My first 4 or 5 Diablo characters were all over the place. There was no focus. There was no streamlining because I didn't know how to play the game. You know? And that's the whole thing. When you're a beginner, you're not going to know. And the haters out there will use that to try and discourage you from going further. You know? That whole term, man, you don't even know what you're doing. A few weeks ago, I talked about Dolomite is my name, and Rudy Ray Moore made it very clear. Oh, he don't know anything about lights or cameras or sound or writing or acting, but he wanted to make a movie. Okay, anybody who tells you that your lack of knowledge is a reason to not do what you want to do is not trying to help you. They're really not trying to help you. You know, they might say they're trying to help you, and in their heart they might think they're trying to help you, but that's hurtful. You know, you don't know what you're doing, so quit. Quit and learn. Well, newsflash. A lot of people out there learn by doing. You know, I would love to think of something that I was good at the very first time. I remember the first time I composed music for a short film. I can't bear to listen to it today. It was terrible. It was the best I could do at the time. Okay? Because I always put my best foot forward. But if my best foot forward isn't half of what Maynard from Tool can write, does that mean I shouldn't try and be a musician at all? Absolutely not. If that were the case, music peaked at the Baroque period because nothing, not even the Beatles, is as musically technical and has a greater understanding of the language of music than the Baroque composers like, Schumann, Chopin, Beethoven, Mozart. You know, nobody is that good. So if you're not that good, should we quit and should we not do it? Well, according to the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Michael Jackson, no. That's absolutely wrong. You know? I mean, that's my point. You know, even if you're not going to be the absolute best out there, just do your best. My great grandmother used to say that if you do your best angels can't do any better than that. And as I get older, I'm learning that my best today is a lot better than it was when I was 19. And who knows, it may be half as good as what my best is going to be at 50. You know, because like it or not, you're always evolving. You know, sometimes that evolution is a devolution, but yeah, you're always evolving. Let's take a look at the chat. What are you guys talking about? Yeah. Too flawed for my ideas, but had fun. Yeah, thanks, Ruthless. Yep, Jim Murphy. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, Mama said bringing up a little version of herself was what parenting was all about. Wrong! God, I feel like Kevin Spacey is freaking Lex Luthor. You know, say the line, oh, making a little version of me is what parenting is all about. Wrong! You know, because again, every person is an individual, guys. You are not your parents. You're not going to have their life. Fight me. I don't care. Let's see. What is the next thing that I wanted to talk about? Well, I wanted to wrap that one up by doing a major shout out to Peter Colville, or to Matt Colville. Thank you. Thank you for releasing that video this morning. And I watched it. It is exactly what I needed to hear. And it's kind of when I needed to hear it. I'm going to try and reach out on his social media and see if we can start a dialogue. But yeah, that guy is awesome. Now, get comfy. Get comfy. Because that was creative living. That was creative living in RPGs. Now let's talk about the more. And I don't mean Othello. Okay. As you guys know, the Wizard's Tower here, and by the way, I hope you guys like that we are on the moon, here on the dark side. Yeah, how can I put this? We're in Southern California. And as you guys know, last week, there was yet another school shooting. Now, some of you guys might know that less than a year ago, more like 4 or 5 months ago, I lost a family member to a shooting. It was a murder-suicide a couple of counties away from me. And I'm not going to get on this whole gun control thing. This is not where this is going, okay? But this stuff, right now we live in a society where everything is raw. Everything is new. And whenever you want to talk about it, the wound is freshly open because it happens every couple of weeks. You know, every couple of weeks there's another one of these incidents. This one happened at a high school about 60 miles from my house. Now, what's important about this for you guys to know is that I'm still waiting on the news, the personal news, not the network news, but the personal news, because I'm not sure if at Saugus High School, I'm not sure if any of my friends have children that go there. Okay. I know that some of my friends have friends whose kids were there. And I see the online dialogue. I see a lot of the online dialogue when it comes to this stuff. And today an interesting thing happened. Someone posted about sympathy for the shooter. And an interesting thing happened. People, number one, this shooter was, well, let me explain. Saugus, California is a suburb of a suburb. Okay, the San Fernando Valley was built on white flight, and then the Santa Clarita Valley, where Saugus is, was built on people who thought that the San Fernando Valley was too populated. So we're talking 2 steps removed, okay? And the kid that did all this stuff, I'm not going to bring up his name. He was a loner at this high school, except for like 1 or 2 friends. Really one person that posted who he was, how he felt, how his day was, how his life was. And I remember junior high and high school. Now, as you guys know, I grew up in the ghetto, but I benefited from busing programs. So I went to different parts of the ghetto and then eventually out of the ghetto by the time I was in high school. So I've seen a lot of different cultures when it comes to the high school and junior high school experience. And I was a little more insulated because when you go to a magnet school, the magnet school is always a little bit more isolated from the rest of the school. So you have a larger chance of finding a clique. Like if you're at say in my case in high school, I was at a performing arts high school. So everyone was a theater kid, okay? The question was, were you an actor, a singer, a dancer, a techie, or an instrumental musician? Okay? Those were the five cliques. Okay? And if you were a dork but a dancer, because we had majors in high school. So if you were a dance major, you at least could find friends in the dance department, because even if you were a weirdo, the dancers had your back. And same with the chorus kids, and same with the actor kids. So there was always sort of a built-in clique. Okay. But with the rest of high school, and I spent a little time outside outside of um outside of the magnet school because I wanted to make as many friends as possible. So I talked with a lot of the regular students, and Hollywood High School at the time had a huge Russian population, huge Russian and a huge Armenian population. So I got to learn a little bit about their cultures because I talked with a lot of the Russian kids and a lot of the Armenian kids, and you see what I mean. Um, but everything I saw on popular movies growing up, you know the ones. Mean Girls, Not Another Teen Movie, Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, 10 Things I Hate About You, everything with Kelly Clarkson, almost everything with Hannah Montana, and High School Musical, and the Disney movies, and Mama, you can go on forever. Um, everything I saw. The one thing I can say is that junior high and high school are terrible places. I mean, we send our kids off to these places for 8 to 9 hours a day, and we're throwing them in a pit with these hormonal monsters who are all trying to claw their way to the top of social status, sometimes for physical safety, sometimes for emotional stuff. But they're always like they're in this dog eat dog, super corporate competitive like this. It's some crazy stuff, guys. And when people, hey Daryl, yes, still on. Um, and a lot of the times when people are in these environments, I remember when I was a kid and I was in these schools, I would always try and run to my family for emotional support, ethical questionings, especially since I was a black kid in the ghetto hanging out with white kids in the suburbs. And you want to talk about cultural dissonance? I'll tell you what. Today's episode is going to be running a little long, guys, because yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. And the one thing I noticed from every set of parents I talked to, from every single walk of life, is that they have no idea what the kids in school are learning. Now, I'm gonna clarify that. They have an idea what the kids are studying in the books and what the teachers are teaching, but not what they're learning. Okay? Um, the classic example that if you are out of high school, I challenge you to think back to when you were in high school and when you were in junior high and think about what pop culture meant to you then. Okay, I'm talking in the days where a song on the radio or in your music collection, be it MP3, CD, DATs for those of you guys that are that old, or records. How many of those songs were able to describe what you thought about yourself better than you had the skill in the English language to do so? And how hard was it for your parents to understand the song that you tried to let them hear? You know, um, I'm a big Rush fan, and when I first heard the song Subdivisions, in the high school halls, in the shopping malls, be cool or be cast out, any escape might help to prove the unattractive truth that the suburb has no heart to soothe the restless dreams of youth. I know so many kids who were like, Mom, Dad, listen to this, read this lyric sheet. In my days, it was Night of the Living Bassheads by Public Enemy, about how the crack epidemic was like the real thing on the streets. And my mom worked graveyard shift. So she was asleep most of the day and working all night. So we hardly saw each other. So she had no idea what I was learning from the kids at school. She had no idea that I was learning how to lure kids into traps to beat the crap out of them by being led into traps and having the crap kicked out of me. All she knew was I'd gotten into a fight, I got suspended. Really reductionist. Yeah, I'd gotten into a fight, but I was jumped by 8 people. So, yeah, I was in a fight. I think the only thing that I really hit to any substantive matter was the ground. But yeah, so she knew that I was studying algebra and physics and Japanese cultural studies and an in-depth history of warfare in Western civilization, but she had no idea that I was learning surfing. No idea that I was learning learning what drugs were available outside of the ghetto. She had no idea that I was learning what alcohols mixed with what and why some people didn't like brown liquor and some people didn't like clear liquor. She had no idea that I was getting a very workable knowledge on the chemistry involved in psychotropic drugs, but she did know that I was studying the history of Emperor Hirohito pre-World War II. You see what I mean? Our parents, or the parents that are out there, have no idea what the children are like amongst each other. And this was something that hit me all the way back in 1996. I was already out of high school, but in 1996, when Columbine happened, this was a group of kids that decided to take LARPing one step too far, and they shot up a school in Colorado. And these were suburban kids. And the one thing that this was different, like one thing that made Columbine different from a lot of these shootings that have been happening since, is that in the past few years, they've been lone shooters. These kids have no social circles. They have no groups. They have zero networks of emotional support. And I start to wonder why that is. Okay. That's the part that kind of gets on me. Okay. I'm not trying to belittle or cheapen the deaths of all these people that get caught up in school shootings. But I want to take a look at the world that might make a shooter. A friend of mine who still lives up in that area, Mr. Walker, you know who I'm talking about. And on his thing, there were people saying, this guy lost his sympathy for me the moment he decided to be a murderer. I was depressed as a kid, and I never went on any school shootings, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh. And then he asked the operative question that, well, where were they? Where, the kids weren't shooting up schools when I was in school, and blah, blah, blah. And I was depressed and I was suicidal, but I never thought about taking other kids' lives and all that stuff. And, this wasn't happening when I was a kid. And I'm like, okay, I want it to stay out of this conversation. But to answer your question, where were these school shootings? These depressed kids, these kids with no hope that were shooting up schools and killing themselves, where were they when you were a kid? In my neighborhood. They were at my schools. This is the reason that I started doing magnet schools. Okay, after 4 school shootings, you try and get out of the neighborhood. All right, and that was a big thing. And I was a lonely kid. I was very lonely. And my 2 best friends in the entire world, shout out to Ty and Ed, Um, the two best friends I had that weren't my immediate blood, okay, these were the two kids I saw more than anyone else. They lived 2 doors down from my house, and they were in a private religious school. So when I went to school, the more I tried to make friends, the more outcast I got. I thought about putting a bomb in a school, when I was a kid. And I made this guy, I put a comment on there, and I don't get involved in flame wars on the internet. I say my piece and then I don't check it again. But I let him know they were in my neighborhood. And many kids around me participated in school shootings. Many wanted to. And the one common thread that I see are a lack of coping mechanisms, a lack of empathy, a lack of support networks, and access to firearms. you know? And I think about this. I think about all the people that decided to go on shootings. And it's easy to say that they shouldn't do it. And most of the times, I'm not saying they should. I'm saying they shouldn't do it. They shouldn't be, people shouldn't go out and go on killing sprees, okay? This is not a cool thing to do. But I know a thing or two about suicide. And suicide comes from a lack of hope, where public massacres come from massive anger. So if a person is angry and hopeless, it's easy to extrapolate that these people are also lonely. And the question is, why are they lonely and angry and violent? What aren't they getting? And when I look at the internet, I can definitely see a massive lack of empathy. I see so many people sitting in judgment and saying so many terrible things without stopping to think for a half a minute, what would drive a person to do this? And we never stop to think, how are we making these killers? What are we doing as a society that's making our children think that this is a good idea? And a lot of people are saying, well, it's the violent video games and blah, 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 blah. And my question is, if kids these days, if they are so easily influenced, that getting weapons and taking the lives of other people is an easy thing to jump through because they have so little will, then my question is, why aren't we influencing them in the other direction? Okay? If they are really that easily swayed, then why don't we start swaying them toward coping mechanisms? This is one of the reasons that we at Back in the Deck are here. Okay? We're here about escapism and catharsis and emotional support in some kind of way. One of the biggest reasons that I play and run D&D is so that people can actually express what's going on inside them in a creative manner. If you're angry and you want to do this killing spree, dude, play a video game. Okay? Write a book, write a story, play an evil character in D&D. Don't suppress it and don't judge yourself. If you don't believe that there's enough good in the world, then make a good character that tries to save people, and write stories about be creative and use all of these tools that we have at our access to make people like Superman or Batman, or definitely in this case Spider-Man, who does the right thing even though most of New York hates him. One of the reasons I'm so into comic books is because I find inspiration like that. The Martian Manhunter is my favorite hero character. He is my favorite cape-wielding superhero. Because he doesn't understand the world that he lives in, but he still cares enough to try and save it. That hits home with me. So when it comes to these shooters, okay, I don't approve, I don't condone, but I also don't understand. And I want gun control. Okay, I want gun. As long as we are not paying attention to our kids and we're casting judgment on everyone, I think, call me crazy, if we live in such an angry world, then we should limit the amount of opportunity we have to destroy each other out of anger. Okay, that's where I sit. It is illegal to have a rocket launcher. I think we should expand that to other weapons. That's my personal view, not that of Back in the Deck, and not that of any of all of you guys out there. Okay, that's my personal view. Okay, but one of the things I'm really big on, really big on, is no one is born bad, and most people, at the end of the day, think that they're good. Okay, but I stand hard on the fact that your age doesn't make you adult. Your actions do. Okay? Sure, you can vote, you can buy beer, you can buy guns. Okay? You can have kids. But having a kid doesn't make you a parent, and being over 22 does not make you an adult. It's our job as adults to not be reductionist. Okay? Yeah, there was another shooting. And these shootings are happening a whole lot more. Why? You know, why are they happening? What is driving people to kill? You know, personally, I think it's the way that a lot of people behave on the internet, because it's very difficult, comparatively, to find kindness on the internet. You know, if this actually gets out and gets a lot of views and all that stuff, I'm going to have people calling me a leftist, a commie, a cuck. You know, they're going to call me 100 different names because they like their guns and they don't want to lose their guns. And that dude out there killed people because he was, insert a long line of expletives here. Okay? But I notice that everyone, especially in the 21st century, can be triggered pretty easily. Okay, if you don't believe that, have a political discussion on either side of the aisle, anywhere on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Pinterest, heck, even Pornhub. You know, talk about politics anywhere, and you'll get somebody that will start calling you names, do a bunch of reductionist stuff. They will just left, right, sideways fight all of the facts that you present. They'll fight their beliefs. They'll call you names. They'll be mean. Now imagine if you were 13. Imagine if you were 13 years old and that's the only interaction that you ever got outside of your family. How would you cope? Okay, how would you cope? I'll tell you honestly. I stopped participating in these conversations because I used to get involved in these flame wars, and I would tell people flat out, this is my address. Let's talk about this in person. Just know that if you act in person the way that you are acting right now, I am going to kick your teeth out. Now, if you have that kind of conviction, you know, meet me outside. How about that? You know, but of course they never show up, you know, but they're mean, they're immature. There's a bunch of stuff out there that's like that. And here's the facts. The real fact is that even with the best support network, the hormones involved in the human body that creates adolescence makes that kind of logic almost impossible. Okay? So I'm bringing out all this stuff because I want us to show more empathy to each other. And empathy does not mean approval. Just like acceptance doesn't mean liking. Okay? But I think we need to take some time to try and understand each other a lot more. Okay? I know that we all have our own beliefs, and it seems like our beliefs are constantly under attack from someone who believes something different. I realize it seems that way. I spend a lot of time on the internet, y'all. Okay, but one of the things that I can say is that as an adult, it's my duty and my responsibility to take a step back, to breathe, and to try and understand not only the people I'm dealing with, but to understand myself, because I'm a grown-up. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's something that a child doesn't have the tools to do. I got the tools, and I should do that. So that's where I'm sitting. That's the place that I'm coming from. So I'm not saying that these school shootings and stuff are okay. I do not condone them. I do not want them to continue. Okay? But I think in order to cut them back, we need to show our young people more empathy. We need to try and understand them and not think that we already do because we were young once. Okay? Because that's reductionist. It's a halfway thing. I was once 17. I was full of myself when I was 17, which is funny because I was full of myself and I had no self-esteem. But knowing that, when I talk to a 17-year-old, I talk to him for real, because I know every 17-year-old that I know currently is sick of having adult responsibility placed on them with the lack of tools that they feel they have. And doing this stuff with the website, with the community center, I talk to these kids and I let them know what tools they do have, what tools they don't have through no fault of their own, and more to the point, I do not judge them. And I think that we have too little empathy and too much punitive judgment, at least here on the internet. I don't know how it is in the rest of the world. I haven't traveled for a long time. But let me know what you guys think. Okay? Matter of fact, I want to check out what's going on in the chat. Hey, chat. Ooh, don't like that. Hang on. Boo boo. Boo boo boo. Ooh, wait, that was a problem. All right. Yeah, where am I at? Okay, now that's good. But yeah, I want to check out what's going on in the chat there. Yeah, that's better. Hey, there we go. Okay, so chat, what do you guys got? Yeah, I went on a rant. I know. Let's see. Wow. All right. Yeah, you guys are there. And yeah, Daryl, that's right. What separated you musically, huh? Hey, that's the thing. Again, we all have our things. We all have our bags. So, yeah. But yeah. So with that, that's a lot of good stuff. We finally got some good stuff, and that was a conversation that I had to have with you guys. And sorry for the political rant. Just, if you're gonna show this to your friends, just cut off the last 15 minutes. I don't know. It's one of those things. But yeah. So, I want to thank you guys. I sincerely want to thank you guys for showing up today, because I almost didn't think that I was going to pull off today. Super thanks to Shannon Lay. Thank you, Ruthless. Thank you, Ruthless, for showing up. You guys should check out his podcast, The Metropolis and the Illuminati, because that stuff is awesome, and I'm there every once in a while. Thanks to Vixen and Daryl and even D. D showed up today. And yeah, I really appreciate that you guys showed up. Share this video, help us get our watch count up there. I eventually want to start going to VidCon, but YouTubers are a strange lot because most of us are introverts. And I say most because, as you guys know, I'm extroverted as crud. And if you guys want to join us and check us out and all that stuff, well, I'm wrapping it up right now, so it's a little bit too late. But join us by sending an email over to backinthedeck@gmail.com. It's BACKINTHEDECK@gmail.com. You can also like, subscribe, share the channel, bring stuff out, and bring more people down to the streams. show them the backlog and all that other job here on YouTube. And of course, hit us up on social media at Twitter. Just look for @backinthedeck or @bidp on Twitter and Instagram. Check out our archive over on SoundCloud. Now on SoundCloud, it's super awesome because when you're doing the SoundCloud thing, you can download all of our stuff from SoundCloud and keep it forever in your collection and listen to our podcast, especially if you guys are trying to prove me wrong and go, no, wait a minute, but 4 years ago you said this on this podcast, and I'll be like, oh, they kept it, cool. So yeah, go ahead and do that and try and poke my eyes out with continuity. And of course, hit us up on the Patreon. Yeah, that's the Patreon. This is the main way that we keep the doors open. We're going to be doing more stuff on Twitch. We'll probably switch the live casting back to Twitch. I've just been trying to get stuff going on YouTube because that's where most of the people seems, but we are going to make Twitch our secondary platform and Patreon our primary platform so that you guys can see a lot of the stuff that we're doing. I am slaving away at the editing bay most days out of the week. So yeah, so again, thank you guys for showing up. I hope you guys like that I'm trying to do more with editing and all that jazz. I'm really trying to give you guys a lot more bang for your buck. You know, thank you guys for showing up. Keep talking in the chat. If you guys in the chat want to keep talking after the broadcast is finished, well, YouTube is going to kick you off, but that is why you head over to Deckers on the Book over at YouTube, or over at that wretched hive of scum and villainy that we call the Facebook. And you guys can totally start a discussion right down here in Deckers on the Book. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Hey, look, that's us right there, and all that jazz. And, you know, start a conversation, get everything going. And yeah, so thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for being around. And again, send us emails and Instagrams and Twitters and all that jazz. And remember, if anybody tells you that you can't like what you like because of the circumstances of your birth, be it race, religion, creed, gender identity, sexual orientation, your disability, or your budget, you just tell them that we said to take those cards and put them back in the deck. This is Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, saying that we'll see you guys next time on the dark side of the room.